Okay, good morning YouTube. I was going to show you how to make a pulley rig, or how I make a pulley rig. What the pulley rig does is basically keeps your hook off the bottom, depending on the size leader you use. With the hook, I normally would make it about a foot long, so you're about a foot off the bottom. All I do is get a piece of wire, non-abrasive wire. What you do, get your small pair of pliers, go up to like the very end of this, make sure you go with the bend of the wire, and then just turn it around to make you a little loop, like so. Try to close the end up, make sure everything's uniform. You want everything to be straight on here, okay? Key loop. Let me get a weight real quick. Okay. Alright. I'm making this out of 40 pound. So what I do is, where I made my loop at, I'll come and put the small end of the pliers right up against the loop and bend it back about 15-20 degrees, if you can see that. Okay, then I'll take my weight, thread it through, come out to about an inch, inch and a half down, bend it right there with the weight. Take my finger, put it in there like that, so you make a loop. Okay, take your pliers, come up about an inch, bend all this back so it looks like you're going to make something like that. Then come where they intersect right here on the wire, bend this out probably like, well, that's 90 degrees, if you can see what I'm saying. That's a 90-degree arm, so I'll come down to about 80 degrees, something like that. Alright, want everything uniform. Okay, take your pliers, come out about maybe an inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Cut that off so you have something that looks like that. Okay, for putting the weight on, you want to like bend this out a little bit. It's off. You can form this wire. It's I think it's 75 pound wire, but you can form it with your hand. Bend this back up like that, so you can put your weight on. Okay. All right, and then you want to bend it back in and bend the arm, like I said, about 80-85 degrees, something like that. The reason for that is when you're casting and it's going through the air, you want this arm to hold your hook on there. Okay. Then what you're going to want to do, like I said, I'm making this out of 40 pound. Got my line here. Take a bead, just thread it on the line. Take a swivel, and then get another bead. So what you're going to need is 2 beads, 2 swivels, and this arm I just showed you how to make to hold your weight. 2 beads, 2 swivels, and your hook of choice. Okay. Once you got bead, swivel, bead on the line, just tie this line, the end of the line, to the loop you made in your weight holder. Okay. I just do a clinch knot on top of it. It's 40 pound line, so I go 6 or 7 times around. Okay. Tighten all that up. Alright. Cut your tag. Okay, so what you have now is 40 pound line, bead, swivel, bead, to the formed wire you made to hold your anchor, to hold your sinker. Okay. What I do is I come up about 1.5 feet, something like that. Cut my line, and then the other swivel you got, just tie your swivel on there. Okay. Pull it all tight. cut your tag. Okay, so what you're going to have is about like from a swivel to bead, swivel, bead again, and into your arm. So you got like 1.5 feet, okay? This is all going to be about 1.5 feet. Then what you're going to want to do, whether you snell your knots on these right here, it's got the candid eye on the shank. I'll normally snell those, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to run it through and do a clinch knot on top of it. Okay. Cinch all that up. Okay. Cut your tag. And then what you want to do is come up about, if this is 1.5 feet, you want to go about like maybe 1 foot. Okay. And then what you want to do on the swivel end, you want to tie another clinch knot. Alright. Okay. Cinch all that up. Alright. Cut your tag. Alright, so what you've got here now, the rig looks like this. Where you got the bead, swivel, and bead at the end, you want to take that swivel. Okay? And you want to come up like this. So what the rig's going to look like is you got your hook here. You can pull it down once you have your bait on. Attach it to the arm. So now what you've got is your anchor, sinker, your bait right here, and this whole thing is on a pulley rig. So when this hits the water, this falls off. Okay? And then when the fish is in the water column, it's sitting up like this. Okay? Now your anchor line is about 1.5 feet down, and you're in the current. So this is sitting up about 1.5 feet up with about 1 foot leader. Okay. So when the fish takes it, he does this with the weight. See what I'm saying? He pulls it. So what it does is the fish has already got the bait. He pulls the weight off the bottom. You're fighting just the fish. This is a good rig for what, you know, like if you're fishing where there's some structure at. Instead of dragging like with the fish finder rig, your weight will actually be, and your bait will actually be dragging the bottom with the current. And like I said in the previous video, you're more susceptible to actually dragging the bottom and hooking whatever's on the bottom. Like if there's driftwood or something in the current, you're more susceptible with a fish finder rig to catch it. With this, your hook is completely off the bottom, about 1.5 feet up in the current. So when the fish takes it, once again, he just pulls that weight off the bottom. Same concept with the fish finder rig, but your weight actually kind of like stays on the bottom. So if the fish doesn't grab it and the current's going strong, you know, you're possibly going to get snagged. This way, your hook is off the bottom. It reduces your chances greatly of getting snagged on the bottom. So once again, the rig is like this. Take your wire, form it into that right there. You can get this non-abrasive wire at Tractor Supply. I believe it's 75 pound. Form it so your weight goes on there freely. You know, it's free. Okay, have an arm about 80 degrees instead of 90 degrees. 80 degrees, so when it hits the water, your hook will fall off of here. And so it'll stay up about 1.5 feet in the water column. You're still fishing bottom, but you're 1.5 feet off with your hook. So, like I said, once again, it greatly reduces your chances of getting snagged on the bottom with your hook. And it's a very good rig in that the fish still doesn't feel the weight when he takes it. And this allows you to throw, depending on your leader line, it allows you to throw larger baits, having your weight right there with the hook on it together. So you don't want to exceed the ounce rating of your rod. Like if you have, let's say, a 5-ounce rod, you probably want to put like a 4-ounce with your bait. And this way it'll allow you for distance casting as well, because like like I said before, your bait is on here on the hook, on the weight, tied to your main line is tied to the swivel, and then you got the this goes out, hits the water, comes off. See what I'm saying? So it greatly reduces your chances of getting snagged. So it's a good rig. I actually got this from, I think it was the UK online. It's a really good idea, and I've caught plenty of fish on this to where, I mean, nice sized fish. So yeah, I hope this helps. Like I said, if it's not a fish finder rig that's dragging the bottom, this here is same concept, but just leaders higher up in the water, and so your bait is still near the bottom, but it's not. It's about 1.5 feet off the bottom. So once again, you know, in the current, reduces your chances of actually getting snagged. So this leader wire, like I said, I mean, the wire that I formed this with, you can get a whole spool of it, like about 100 feet for like $10–15, and you can make these yourself. They're pretty simple, easy to make, and they work.